Smoking is destroying my marriage, and I need support. I am at a breaking point. The anger I feel is so deeply rooted that it feels permanent. I love my husband more than anything in the multiverse, but I feel broken. I, 38F, feel like my husband's, 41M. Smoking is destroying our marriage. It's not the only thing that's wrong, but it's the physical cause for the fight we are having again and again. He says he feels lonely all the time. I respond that's because he's spending more than half of our evenings outside chain smoking and watching TikTok videos. Like, sometimes he'll go out there for more than an hour at a time. In the meantime, I'm not going to just sit here and do nothing. So I find something to do, a video game or a TV show or online chess or whatever. Then, when he comes back inside, he's upset because I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing and I'm not paying attention to him. I respond that it's hard to try to pay attention to him when he is constantly leaving me inside bored and alone. It's to the point where, sometimes when he's cooking dinner, it will be 10 p.m. before we eat because he's prioritizing going outside to smoke over finishing the meal so that we can eat. I am angry because he says he wants me to hang out with him and talk to him more, but I don't know how to do that when he is literally physically removing himself from the house for hours every night. We have been together for 11 years and married for almost 6. He was a smoker when I met him, and my understanding at the time was that he always wanted to quit. When we started talking about getting married, about 2 years into our relationship, I told him I really wanted him to quit. I told him I didn't want to marry someone who might eventually get lung cancer or COPD, since I literally watched my grandma die from COPD. There was a lot of arguing involved at the time, some of it revolving around smoking, some of it around other issues like jealousy and insecurity and trust. Overall, the arguments from that time probably harmed the relationship more than either of us wanted to admit. But eventually, he quit, and to deal with the main issues that were preventing us from making a marriage commitment, we got counseling. It helped a ton. We realized that the way we were hearing and responding to each other was a product of interpreting everything through the lens of emotional abuse in both of our childhoods, i.e., when he would criticize me, I felt like it was my mom screaming at me, and vice versa. I felt like we were back on the same page after counseling. Things were still a little rocky here and there as we figured out how to communicate more effectively, but things were getting better. Anyway, in December 2022, his dad died. His dad essentially chose to die. There were options available to save his life, and he felt like it was time to go. That's his prerogative. But my husband couldn't believe his dad would choose that. Their relationship was never good, but he felt so angry with his dad for opting out. When I flew in to meet him for the funeral, he told me he had started smoking again. I understood also that the smoking was a coping mechanism for a traumatic incident. He said it was just to get him through the week and that it won't be a thing. It can't be a thing. Well, 2 years later, it's still a thing. I've tried so many times to talk to him about how sad and scared and angry I am about it, but they all end in fighting and with reverting to previous harmful patterns of communication, wherein the conversation becomes all about how lonely he is and how I'm attacking him and then blaming me for making the relationship lonely. He also drinks, which I used to do, but I'm sober now, and that doesn't help. A few months ago, one of our arguments led to him talking about how depressed he is and how me saying I'm worried about his health doesn't matter to him because he would rather just smoke himself to death than do anything differently. This was kind of a turning point for me because I'm thinking, WTF? You're choosing to die? After your dad did that to you, you're doing that to me? You're choosing to leave me here alone without you? I have felt completely disconnected since then. I get that he's depressed and maybe never got over the depression of losing his dad. I asked him to get therapeutic help, and he hasn't. He also had a job that was stressing him out, so he quit and is now trying to build his own business, which is stressful. He wants to move and start a new life somewhere else, and he's frustrated that nothing is changing to make that happen. But I'm like, why would I do that when I don't think anything about the relationship itself going to change? I like my life a lot, and I don't want to move just so that I can feel even more lonely somewhere else. It probably goes without saying that we aren't having sex. I'm completely turned off from the smoke smell and the anger I experience whenever I smell it. I am trying to practice radical empathy and to see things from his point of view. He feels that I am not demonstrating love toward him, and I get that it hurts him. I'm not being emotionally supportive, that is true, but it's also true that I don't know how to be. For me, the fact that I'm still here, instead of somewhere else trying to build a healthier life for myself, is the utmost of love that I can offer right now. My instinct has always been to flee, and I fight that instinct every day that I'm here, and for me, that's what my love is right now. I'm here because I wake up every day hoping something will spark in him to get him to recognize his self-destructive behaviors and the effect they have on our relationship. But I go to bed every night feeling like all I want to do is run and escape. I refuse to give up, essentially, because I wouldn't want him to give up on me if I was going through something. I love who he is when he isn't consumed in the identity of a smoker, and I hope that he'll come back to himself one day. I go to therapy for myself to figure out how to deal with my anger at him. It's not really helping. I don't really have family who I trust enough to talk to about this or friends who have the time for it. I'm just wondering whether anyone has been through something similar and had a positive outcome.